I mean, that'll be a takeaway line for some time, which are, to all the B school gurus. Monopoly is a crime. It is a felony. So, rule of law. We haven't had it. We're putting it back in place. A couple of things. Actually, one other point I want to make before I get on to a little bit of housekeeping is the senator just said that maybe the Goliaths still, there's still the smart money might be on the Goliaths. I'm going long on democracy. So, a couple of things. In our next panel, we actually had someone unfortunately drop out, one of the great heroes in this fight. Doha Meki was not going to be able to be with us today. This was a very last-minute change. It's due to something that was absolutely unavoidable, and so we're very sorry not to have Doha with us. We will be working with Doha in the future. She really is. If you don't know Doha, you should get to know Doha, one of the real heroes in this fight today. One lesson of that speech that we just heard is, we've been very focused on the DOJ and the FTC as a community and the people in this room, But one of the things that we heard in that last talk was, and the senator's talk is, CFPB. And all these other agencies, Mayor Pete, at Department of Transportation, Tom Vilsack at USDA, the comptroller. We need to be fighting all these fights. If we're not in their face, they're not going to do the right thing. They're not doing the right thing, a lot of these folks, and it's because we're not in their face. Now, the good thing, though, and this is a really big advance, is we now have a crew of people who work together, who interlink with each other. I'm going to add another name to that. We know about Rohit Chopra. We know about Lina Khan. We know about Jonathan Kanter. But I also want to point out Catherine Tai at USTR, who is perhaps the most important person on these issues at the international level. So the next person we have up here is actually a good friend, good ally, someone I am really thrilled to have with us today, and it's Rob Weissman. I'm thrilled to have Rob Weissman with us because he's a great battler. He's been doing this for a long time. He's won major battles. He keeps his eye on the target. It's also great to have Public Citizen. Public Citizen is which is got to be, I don't know the exact age, about 50 years old at this point. It is an illustration of the importance of building strong institutions that can last over time, that can pass the light from generation to generation. So I'm going to pass this podium over to Rob for a few minutes.
Thanks, Barry. It's good to be with you all. This is obviously a good crowd. When interoperability gets a cheer and people start hooting for interoperability, you got a good room. I got 5 minutes, 5 points. I talk fast, but I'm going to try to keep it a little slow. Topic of this is anti-monopoly movement and movements. First thing, I want to thank and appreciate Barry and OMI and Senator Warren. Barry did not discover antitrust and anti-monopoly. That's actually part of his shtick, that it goes back to the beginning. But I think more than any other individual, Barry was the one to lock onto it and insist that we had to have a popular discussion about what anti-monopoly is, and to broaden out from the narrow conversation of The Economist to a public conversation that talks about power. And I think that's been a signature contribution that he and OMI have made, and that has driven and brought us all together and move things forward. And similarly, Senator Warren, of course, has done so much in so many spaces, has taught us to think about it as a democracy problem, as like something we have to talk about publicly, and given us the example, as she just did again, of how we can communicate things that are seemingly complicated in ways that people can understand, that speak to their felt needs. And I think those are immeasurable contributions among many others, and important for the bigger and ongoing struggle that we're all engaged in. The second point is that, building on what Senator Warren just said, we've achieved a lot and we should feel really good about that. If you just think about it, we've got state AGs now activated for the first time in memory on antitrust. We have strong enforcers at DOJ and FTC bringing hard cases. We have the president as an executive order. We've got rulemakings. We have a president who talked about and spent time on antitrust in his State of the Union, which apparently hasn't happened to even mention since 1979, and maybe ever. I don't know, maybe if ever FDR did it, I'm not sure. But I don't even know if they had State of the Unions then. That's quite something. And it didn't just happen. This is the key point. It did not happen. Personnel is policy, yes, but those personnel aren't there but for a movement, but for ongoing efforts, but for the collaboration of people in this room and many others. And I think that is the really crucial thing, that these victories that we're achieving, they are our victories in a very real sense. And they don't happen but for the work that we're all collectively doing. Third thing, I think one of the lessons, from these many teachers is that we have to think about anti-monopoly, antitrust, not just in the narrow framework, forget the consumer welfare stuff, but just not in a narrow economic framework, but it's sort of in a power framework and a democracy framework. And I just wanted to highlight one thing that I think is going to maybe possibly transformational and a big challenge for us, which is ChatGPT. Any of you use that? It's kind of fun, right? It's sort of fun, maybe. It's incredible. It has a lot of obvious problems, which is people producing it acknowledge, the same problems we've talked about for a long time with algorithmic racism and other kinds of accountability issues, bad information, and so on. But there's a monopoly problem built into this, which is the vision of the ChatGPT is to take all of the information on the internet and centralize it and give it to you through one channel, okay? So that channel is being delivered to you by Microsoft, Google, and Facebook. We've now, beyond what these companies have already done to take information from the internet and monopolize it, make it their own, the generative AI model threatens something that is vastly more significant, even if it's cool. And this is an opportunity. Think about what Senator Warren just said, like the problem in DOD monopolization. That is a government-created problem because the government facilitated monopolization in the 1990s in the defense sector. We could have stopped it then. To undo it now, much harder. Okay, we're now at the moment of formation with this potential explosion around generative AI. We have to be engaged in that right now. We have to introduce anti-monopoly thinking into the conversation about it right now. We have to demand regulators think about these things, which I do not believe are currently on the agenda right now. Because in 5 years, it'll be too late. We're going to be trying to undo things that are going to be very, very hard to unravel. Fourth thing, Senator Warren said this, which we all know, the interconnectedness between corporate concentration and political power. And she explained how too much corporate concentration is a political problem. Of course, it's a self-perpetuating problem because too much political power in narrow hands becomes an antitrust, anti-monopoly problem. Why didn't we get those bills passed last year? Because big tech has too much political power. And we're seeing this unfold right now at the FTC with the so-called noisy exit of the FTC commissioner yesterday, claiming that there are process concerns that are motivating her to leave the FTC as she explains her opposition to the substantive agenda of the majority of the commissioners. So it is a political problem that we face, and it's going to be important that we're politically engaged at the FTC, including pointing out that the true ongoing structural ethics process problem at the FTC is the revolving door. Before the current regime, 3/4 of top FTC officials left and went to work for the companies that they used to regulate. 2/3 of them went to work for big tech. That wasn't in the noisy exit memo yesterday, but that's the problem we've got to focus on. And the last and final point is just to come again to the point of importance of movements and continuing to build this. I'm with Barry, I'm betting long. I'm with Senator Warren on democracy. I'm with Senator Warren that we're gaining momentum, but it's not preordained that it continues. We are lucky that we have champions at the DOJ and the FTC who quite consciously are willing to bring cases they think they will lose because they're trying to break new ground. They're trying to revive dormant doctrines because they know they face a hostile judiciary. That is how we make progress. But you can't keep doing that in those positions unless you have the public behind you. Right? We won't get those bills across the finish line unless we have not just this room, but a motivated and mobilized public. So I think that is our biggest charge, as well as to continue to do all the policy stuff and getting all the insider fights. It's to engage the public more, to keep challenging ourselves to speak more plainly about what we're talking about with anti-monopoly and why it matters in people's lives, and bring those people into this movement, get them engaged, get these things across the line, strengthen our champions, and make sure we do deliver on the long bet on democracy. Thank you all.